On behalf of PAFO and COLEACP, we are delighted to welcome you all to the 8th session of the Innovation Series. So I believe most of us are now familiar with our sessions, but allow me to remind you that we have an interpretation for English and French speakers. So to select the language of your choice, just go below to your screen and click the translation icon. Speaking, my name is Emmerance TUYISHIME. I'm the Programs Officer and also the Acting CEO of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, PAFO. So as we are having our 8th session of Innovation Series today, we would like to remind those who are interested that you can still watch previous series. They are available on our website and YouTube channel for both PAFO and COLEACP. And of course, allow me also to inform you that this session is being recorded, so later on it will also be published, so you can still follow it. So the innovation series are being organized each 2 months in the framework of existing partnership between PAFO and COLEACP to leverage or capitalize the innovation and successes of African farmers-led businesses and SMEs. Other important information I would like to share with you is that PAFO has dedicated this year, 2022, to the youth. So here we are planning several activities whereby we would like to empower young farmers in Africa. Among others here, PAFO is planning to organize an international and African Young Farmers Summit in May 2022. And this is one of the reasons that today's session will be focusing on youth, mostly on how to catalyze young African agri-entrepreneurs investments. So in today's presentation, we are going to hear from different innovations led by youth, and also we have other guests who will bring in some existing opportunities which can benefit youth in Africa. So let me seize this opportunity to once again convey our appreciation to more than 1,000 participants registered. So we do appreciate your continuous support through your participation and feedbacks. I would also like to extend our gratitude to our today's panelists and also to our different partners, either technical, your continual support towards the achievement of PAFO or COLEACP objectives. So before handing over, as we proceed with the presentation, we welcome your questions and your ideas. We would have loved really to hear from each and every one of you, but the time is not on our side. Therefore, we encourage you to write it down in the chat box, any question, any comment you may have as we are proceeding with the presentation. So towards the end, we will have a time to consolidate your questions and comments, and we will give time to our panelists to give you feedback. So without further ado, allow me now to hand over to Mrs. Isolina BOTO, the head of network and alliances at PAFO, who will take at COLEACP, who will take over to moderate. So we are also still waiting for the new president of PAFO. I'm not sure if we has connected, because he's the one who is supposed to give the official opening, but he's having difficulties with connection. So we are still in touch with him. He's trying to connect. So as he connects, we also hand over to him. Meanwhile, Isolina, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, and hello to everybody on behalf of COLEACP and our partners PAFO. I welcome you all and thank you very much for your continued interest in this series. As Emmerance was saying, we will get on board indeed Mr. Kolyang PALEBELE, the new president of the Pan-African Farmers Organization. So today is a very, very exciting and it raised really a lot of interest topic on catalyzing young African agri-entrepreneurship investments across Africa. And in addition to the attracting young entrepreneurs in different value chains and in different regions in Africa, we want to convey that despite many challenges that we hear about, of course, youth employment, which are a reality, and attracting and retaining youth in rural areas, in the agriculture sector and in the agri-food sector, we really want to show also the opportunities. Says today, as we will see from our panelists, but also the opportunities ahead, be in regional, local markets or external markets, export markets. And we are interested by both, and operators are more and more in both markets, and we will see as well. So we will have the opportunity to discuss detailed parts of this topic of today. You also have received an Axel, my colleague Axel, we also post the program again, the note, the biodata of the speakers, but you have quite a detailed note on the related issues of youth entrepreneurship in Africa in the agri-food sector. So we will not go into the detail of that, but rather give the floor to our panelists who have a lot of information to share. Of course, I also welcome the chairman of COLEACP, Mr. Stephen MINTAH, who from Ghana, currently being in Ghana, and he will give us as well share some of his insights towards the end. So without further delay, I invite now our first panelist, who is Momarr TAAL, is the founder and managing director of Tropingo Foods, a very interesting company founded in 2014. As a Gambian agribusiness, is someone very much passionate about entrepreneurship, and to the point that after graduating in Canada, he decided, like many young people, which is very encouraging, to return to Gambia, where he found that the majorities of mangoes produced, as we all know, were wasted. And then he tried with his means to address this problem and to find a solution. This is now the company, Tropingo Foods, is becoming one of the largest groundnut exporters in Gambia. He will tell us about the markets, African and external. As a young entrepreneur, all the entrepreneurs today are young. He was awarded the Global Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2017. Tropingo Foods has been named by Forbes as one of the Africa 30th most promising companies as well. So thank you very much for being with us, despite, of course, a lot of work for your company. And I give you the floor now for about 10 minutes. Thank you, Momarr.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to be here. And I guess we can proceed with my presentation about our company, our ethos, why we started, where we are today, and what we believe are the opportunities and some of the challenges in our sector. Yeah, so you can start, maybe put it on full screen. Thank you. Next slide, please. Excel, there you go. So our company, Tropingo Foods, as you heard, started in 2014. We've grown very much in the sector in Gambia to become one of the largest exporters of foods from the Gambia. So we started with an idea of developing value chains for local produce in Gambia, so we can have higher value products developed within Gambia for the global market. Anybody who's familiar with Gambia knows we're a very small country with a very small population, being a small market, but we're rich in produce, meaning, for example, I used to come home while I was in school and realize that we used to give mangoes away. Most of it was rotting. And I was really passionate about figuring out how we could create more value for the mangoes that were being thrown away in Gambia. And this has been my passion, and I can say this would be my life's work So in 2016, we set up our first mango dehydration facility. It's the first one in Gambia. And we started developing dried mangoes for export. Today, that facility has grown. We doubled the capacity, and although many challenges within the supply chain, we continue to grow. Our entire approach is market-led, meaning based on what the market needs are and market dynamics, we invest, and we try to make sure that we have an equitable trade and return for all partners involved, from the customer down to the farmer. And this is what guides all of our decision making and our strategic thinking. Next slide, please. Axel, next slide, please. Thank you. So our business model is quite straightforward. As you can see on the left, we work with a lot of farmers and farmer organizations. So we do deal with commercial farmers and farmer groups, farmer organizations. For example, we work very closely with Nafarm, which is the National Women's Farmers Association. It's about 40,000 members, and they make up a bulk of our horticulture outgrowers who supply their goods to us. So we take their produce and bring them to us, the industrial operator, where we aggregate the produce and get it export ready, be it processing, be it packaging, whatever it takes to get it to the market. And that's where it goes to wherever in the world that we're exporting that particular crop to, and into your markets. Yes, we get paid by the market, and that money is funneled through our industrial operations and back to the farmer. This is a simple value chain that we follow, and we try to expand as much as possible. Next slide, please. How we do it. We rely a lot on market intelligence. We are an experienced market operator. We lead the process based on what the market demands and what the supply needs are. So it's a delicate balance of what is available and what is needed when. So we feel that market intelligence is a key driver of our success. Good agricultural practices are key in order to maintain the quality and get the yields that we need in order to fulfill our international contracts. So we have implemented systems like the global GAP organic standard within our outgrower schemes. A lot of training has gone into this, and a lot of capacity building for local farmers. We believe in value addition at source. So as much value that we can create as close to the farmer as possible is a win-win for all of us. And this is an ethos that we continuously try to implement. Next slide, please. Next slide.
We cannot hear you very well. Perhaps if you remove the camera, Momarr.
Yes, there we go. So what are our products? As you can see, we're mainly into dried mangoes, fresh mangoes, okra, peppers, peanuts, and cashew nuts. These are the main products that we export in bulk, and recently more increasing focus on the local market. After COVID-19, a lot of the global logistics was hampered, and we put more focus on local market needs just to balance out our dependence on exports. The next slide, please. So for us, very important are the farmers and how farmers are key partners. We can't do anything we're doing without farmers. Within 10 years, we intend to produce enough of our key crops to meet the demands of our customers locally and internationally. And you know, local smallholder farmers are key partners to this, as our supply chain cannot grow without the support of farmers. We intend to be processing at approximately 4,000 metric tons of mangoes within 10 years. That is a target that we've set for ourselves. In terms of vegetables, our target is 1,000 metric tons. And between peanuts and cashews, we're targeting 20,000 metric tons per year. These are the targets that we've been working towards over the last few years, and we've been making progress in some and a bit more challenges in others. But this is what we're dedicated to doing. We cannot do this without smallholder farmers as partners to this. We recognize the need to increase farmer groups in order to meet our goals and our targets. Next, please. So our market's based on produce. Fresh fruits and vegetables go into the local market, the UK, France, Russia, Netherlands, and the UAE. Our dried mangoes go into the local market, Nigeria, Netherlands, UK, and the US. And our nuts, meaning cashew nuts and peanuts, go to China, Vietnam, India, and Senegal. Next. Yes, so on our innovation, so we've seen the need to invest into greenhouse for our horticulture business. And we're working on developing more, hydroponic greenhouses, especially for our peppers, so that we can grow in pest-free zones and control the entire climate and all the inputs going into the growing. We're piloting this as a demonstration center, and our plan is to also expand this to our outgrowers. So using our base as a demonstration and training center, and working with outgrower groups and farmer groups to scale this up so that we can increase production within pest-free zones for certain sensitive crops. Next slide, please. So thank you very much. That's the end of my presentation. Hope you learned more about our company and what we're trying to do, what we're trying to achieve. We do believe that youth involvement in agriculture is key to uplifting farmers and to involving farmers within the value chain. We believe that the more youth that are interested in agriculture practices in countries like mine will increase the outcome and the output of farmers in simple terms. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Momarr. It's actually very impressive. Very pleased as well that you work with some of my colleagues at COLEACP, and I really hope that your business grows well, especially with the new innovations you have, and very importantly as well, all the employment you create for young people and especially young women. We will not repeat that enough. So thank you very much. We will get back to you. I also encourage the participants to put in the chat the questions, not just wait for the question answer part. And some could be already bilaterally answered by some of the speakers when they are very, very specific, and the others will be collected by Emmerance, who will pose them after. By the way, Emmerance, I think the president of PAFO has joined from Chad. Is that right?
Yes, Isolina. Thank you. The president of PAFO, Mr. PALEBELE, has already connected. And as I have said, I think we should give him the floor to give us the remarks. President, you have the floor.
Merci, chers panélistes. Merci,
Ladies and gentlemen, dear panelists, dear Isolina, it's been quite a while. We haven't seen each other. I do not want to delay this session too much, but I would like to share a few words with you. Ladies and gentlemen, Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, I wish you all a happy and prosperous 2022 for all of us and for our partnership. I welcome you, therefore, to this 8th session of the Innovation Series, the first for 2022, which has chosen a most interesting theme, namely catalyzing investments by young African agri-entrepreneurs. This is organized by PAFO and COLEACP within the framework of their partnership. My name, for those who do not know me, Kolyang, PALEBELE, and I am a breeder, and I am also a chairman of the Pan-African Farmers Organization, which is a continental organization and which carries the voice of tens of millions of African farmers integrated in nearly 70 organizations, unions, federations, cooperatives, associations, and so on, present in more than 45 African countries and federated in 5 regional networks operating at the heart of African agriculture. So this is the 8th innovation session, a series of 2-hour sessions whose objective is to increase awareness and use of existing innovations led by farmers' organizations and SMEs across value chains, highlight future innovative technologies and practices with potential for farmer organizations and SMEs, exchange best practices and success stories between regions of the continent, and of course with the European Union, provide tailored support services such as training, technical assistance, extension services, access to finance. Many young farmers and agro-entrepreneurs are innovators and risk takers. They are increasingly involved in high productivity enterprises related to marketing, processing, packaging, and food services, in addition to on-farm production. They are better informed, better connected, and willing to invest in capacity development. Young entrepreneurs are also more likely to employ other young people and thus contribute to reducing unemployment and poverty. Investments to transform on-farm agricultural productivity will also help create off-farm employment opportunities. In addition, the growth of African agri-entrepreneurs offers opportunities closer to farmers, and they will generate new jobs along the agribusiness value chain, as the agri-food production and horticulture sectors often generate high-quality jobs for youth and women and promote healthy and nutritious food. The organization of the Innovation Series was made possible by the partnership between PAFO and COLEACP through a Memorandum of Understanding, an MOU, to enable both parties to leverage their resources and experience to achieve a common goal of modernizing Africa's agriculture value chains, promoting sustainable and inclusive growth, poverty reduction, food security, food safety, and nutrition. Under this partnership, the 5 areas of the action plan have been identified, including, amongst others, the innovation series to promote knowledge and the use of innovation adoption, as well as the e-learning series to support capacity building of farmers. Our innovation series, led by PAFO and COLEACP, is a periodic event, and above all, an opportunity to share good practices of African entrepreneurs, farmers, and agri-entrepreneurs, promoting South-to-South exchanges and focusing on innovations, digital solutions, technologies, and natural resources. This session will also be an opportunity to hear different innovations of interest to farmers, organizations, and SMEs across the continent, and to discuss a more engaging way forward for the Innovation Series program. So once again, welcome and thank you to one and all. Thank you, Chairman, and congratulations on your election. You're the chairman of the PROPAC, which is the Central Africa Producers Organization, and you're also chairman of the Pan-African Producers Organization, which is an emblematic partner of COLEACP, and certainly the partner for our innovation series, without whom this would not be a success. So thank you very much. Congratulations. It's been a while since we met. There's been COVID and all kinds of lockdowns and other problems, but I wish we will be able to meet soon in Brussels and tighten our ties and work together. Thank you for connecting from Chad. I know it's not very easy. I know you are very busy, and congratulations for PAFO to choose this year as the year for youth. And I'm fully aware of all these efforts you've done in favor of young people, but it is very important to dedicate a year to this. And so this was a very good idea and another reason for us to work together. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Without a major delay now, we are going to give the floor to our next panelist. Thanking again the President for the continuous support of the PAFO, and you know the comparative advantage of these activities to give the voice to young local entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs, and to link smallholders with companies, MSMEs, and businesses, which is a core part of the work of COLEACP, and with entry points which are very clear: sustainability, fair conditions, fairer value chains, fairer prices. So we work very, very well in that. And thank you for the hundreds of participants connected currently. So Mwangi MUTURI is the CEO of Lusoi Greens Limited in Kenya. So he's the founder, he's a pioneer Kenyan company which is growing and exporting indigenous herb. He will tell us a bit more. He operates in compliance with many standards, since he also exports mostly actually exports outside Africa. He works very closely, and you will see that each of our panelists today works very closely with young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, local communities, local farmers, which is very, very important in terms of inclusivity and impact along the chain. He has a background in business and finance, but he has, and after some work on technology, on hardware companies, on sales and marketing skills, he also, like our previous speakers, decided to dedicate, part of his life to agriculture and agri-food, and created then Lusoi Greens. So can you share a bit what you did, you did with us, and you modeled, and in less than 10 minutes, please? Thank you. And Axel, I think will help you with the PowerPoint.
Okay. Thank you, Isolina, for that very generous introduction. I didn't know I was doing all those things. I thought I was just farming. In a nutshell, or maybe in summary, Lusoi Greens is involved in the business of growing and exporting culinary herbs, with a small portion of our business being for the local market. So in a nutshell, that is what we do. Axel, maybe you can go to the next slide. So yeah, so we are based in Kenya. We started the business in 2017. We should be doing 5 years in the business in March this year. As Isolina mentioned, my background was in banking and other types of business, but I've always had a passion. For farming, and so sometime in 2017, I decided to put my pocket where my passion was. So yeah, it's a family-run business, and we're expanding as we go. Axel. So currently, as it stands, we employ at around 35 people permanently, with 70% of them being women. We do have seasonal labor when we have our season. Our seasons are mainly controlled by winter and summer seasons in Europe, because Europe is our main market. So our seasons, when I talk of seasons, we start from October and it runs all the way to May. And from June, it starts going down as summer is coming in. So we have a very small management structure with me as the CEO. We have administration, we have production supervisor, we have the pack house supervisor. All our quality management systems are managed on site, where we do the grading, we do the packing, we do some of the products in small consumer packs for customers who might desire that. Axel. So as mentioned earlier, our main markets are export. The reason for this being that you will see later with the kind of produce that we have, our local diets, if I may say so, or our local taste buds have not really caught up to this. So the vibrant market we have is in Europe, with the UK being 70% and the Netherlands being 30%. Our main clients are resellers and packers, who then serve the supermarkets and the food service industry. When I talk of food service, I'm talking of restaurants and caterers and so on and so forth. We are currently expanding our market reach because over the last 5 years, we have come to understand the standards required by the market. So we are now able to expand our market reach. We are now looking at the French market. We are also looking at the Middle East market, primarily, when I say Middle East, primarily UAE and Qatar. Other African countries where we have exported are Ghana, Nigeria, and South Africa. Next example. So when it comes to herbs, there are almost, I think, 12 varieties of culinary herbs. But when it comes to herbs, there's a main variety, which moves around maybe 60% of the volume. And this is basil. So it's mainly used when it comes to pasta, Italian dishes, and for making pesto. There are many other uses for basil, but I'll go very fast on it. Next, Axel, please. So we also have mint, Spanish mint. There are other varieties of mint, but what we do mainly is Spanish mint. You have peppermint, you have spearmint, and so on and so forth. We also have rosemary. Next, Axel. So again, these are just varieties of what we do. We have thyme and we have oregano. As it is right now, we are selling them in raw form, mainly for the culinary space. The same herbs have many other uses. There's value addition that can be done for them, but as it is right now, we're just selling them in raw form. Next. So what are the future plans? We are looking to access perhaps direct supermarket customers in the countries we currently export to. And the reason why we would want to have the direct supermarket customers has to do with the pricing and being able to secure better contracts, because with contractual selling, then it's easier for the farmer to plan their planting and to plan their production activities throughout the way. I always say any business without a contract is guesswork. So we try and get contracts as much as possible. We want to go into value addition. As I mentioned, we are currently selling them as raw, but we believe there's a market and the opportunities in selling dried herbs. They achieve better shelf life. With all these plans, when you talk about getting to the supermarkets, then the kind of standards required are very high. So we also have to look at our certification in our pack houses. We have to improve, or we have to get better certification that will then allow us to sell directly to the supermarkets. As much as we are primarily a herbs producer and exporter, we have already started on a diversification process on the products. So we are also looking at chilies and bell peppers or capsicum, both for export and the local markets. Of course, I'll not dwell too much on the challenges. I believe almost everyone here on the panel understands them. Number one, we're in a very capital-intensive business. So access to finance is normally one of the main challenges. But I guess with experience and with know-how and with a track record, it becomes easier as you go along. Again, the same issue on low access to finance or low inability for financiers to understand or to have a long-term view of the business. When it comes to the export business as well, we do have to meet quite a number of standards, and the standards come at a cost. They come at a cost in terms of the farm, the agricultural practices on the farm, the good agricultural practices, the certification, the annual audits, and so on and so forth. But I believe these standards are there for a reason, and they actually help us run our businesses in sort of a professional way. Next. And we are done. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Mwangi, for keeping the time and for such also interesting presentation, for insisting as well on contracts. From COLEACP, from PAFO is also one of the things we support, the difficulties of young entrepreneurs and less young on getting formal jobs with contracts and with some kind of protection and rights, where they see that the sector can be really attractive and remunerative and, you know, with a future. So I think it's also one of the very, very important points, and very impressive actually company as well. So we'll get back to you and have a quick in the look, a quick look in the chat and in the question answer, because there are many comments, some questions, some bilaterals, including for the PAFO actually, Emmerance, for some of the officers. And now we go to Awa. Alors je vais passer au français pour présenter Awa.
Right, so I will switch to French to introduce Awa CABA. She is the co-founder of and CEO of Soreetul in Senegal. Thank you for being with us from Senegal. As you have noticed, there is a big diversity of countries. So Soreetul is a platform of processed products and cosmetics. Now, Awa, well, I know her, and I've known her for quite some time. Awa is very committed, very passionate. She has diplomas in tech, IT, entrepreneurship, and so on. I mean, she's a very learned person, and she works a lot on the let's say helping entrepreneurs to become self-sufficient, autonomous. She's a founding member of being in tech in Senegal. She created Senegal, which is a center to help train young people in agri-entrepreneurs. Now you will see in the bio that Axel will send you that she has received a load of awards and distinctions, and she's also considered as an example for young entrepreneurs, but not only. So thank you very much, Awa, for you to be with us. I know it's very difficult for you to be with us because you have a very tight agenda. But anyway, thank you very much for being with us. Welcome. I hope we have the right connection. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Yeah? Super, great. Oh, sorry, that was my mic that was off. Okay, yeah. No, I was saying thank you very much for these very kind words. I do my best to help young entrepreneurs and in our activity, and I try to do my best. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll now switch to my presentation of Soreetul, but I would like to thank you for this initiative. Thank you for inviting me to this event today. So what we're doing here in the Senegal is of interest to you, and through Soreetul, I'll try to take you through what we have done now for a couple of years to allow better access to the market. So I'll share my screen now. Give me a second. Right, can you hear me? Yes, yes, we can hear you. Perhaps you could switch to full screen, your presentation that is. Yeah, sorry. Right, go. So in Senegal, we had understood concerning the agricultural sector that local products were not available to regions outside Dakar. So you have various regions, and when you talk about processed agricultural products, they're not available in the market, and we have 110% of our products which come from outside. And this means that these products are much better packaged, and the presentation is much better. But there are processing plants in Senegal, but they don't have sufficient resources, means to do the work that would be required to have the same level of conditioning and presentation than the other products that come from abroad. And this is also a problem for access to markets abroad because of lack of certification, because of, let's say, the weakness in the processing process and the packaging process, namely. And so, we decided to work on this to allow a better access to all products for all the people, even outside Dakar. Now, because sometimes, I mean, you have producers that come to Dakar, let's say a fortnight per year to Dakar, and then they go back to their countryside, and so it makes the access to the market very difficult. And so there was a real need to let's say allow people to have access to better food, to more nutritious food. So anyway, this is what we had noticed, and we had been studying for quite some time. And agriculture represents a very big part of the country's economy and of actually Africa's economy. And so, we needed to help young entrepreneurs. We needed to help producers to improve the packaging of their products, to improve the visibility of their products for the need of local markets, but also international markets. So, thanks to our IT diplomas, we decided to see how we could use what we had learned in order to develop agriculture and the agricultural sector in Senegal. So this is what my colleagues and myself based the creation of our program, our platform, in 2014. And so the objective of the platform is to connect rural offers to the urban area and to the, let's say, the international market, and to allow also consumers to access local products. So using digital tools to connect rural and urban areas. And so, so as I said, the access for products to the markets and consumers to the products. So we have different services. We work with, let's say, with various partners who have a good knowledge of the market, of the products out there, and they allow us to better manage let's say, the whole process of making local products visible to a greater number. And so we have three types of services. So an e-market service, which is online purchasing with delivery service. We also have an e-commerce platform. So we have the e-commerce platform, and we also have a physical shop, right, store. And so we do phygital, right? Because, well, in Senegal, let's say, the digital was not the starting point, because in Senegal there was not really this culture, to go online and to buy online and have your products delivered. So we have a physical store which enables our customers to come and pick up their products, and why not to decide to have their next order delivered to them. And so thanks to this platform, it is possible for clients to purchase online. Now, in Senegal, there are different types of events, corporate events that are organized. And so we decided to, let's say, create a change in the meals that are, let's say, the meal that are available to Senegalese companies on a daily basis. And so quite often companies reach out to us to have access to local products, which they can then use to make their meals. Now then, our third service. So we work with young women to better structure their activity in order to make sure that their products are available on the platform. Where people have, let's say, the most need for help is packaging, processing and packaging. And actually, even packaging is quite difficult. And so what we do, we try to create tools to allow our customers to better promote their products. I think it seems we've lost you, Awa. I think we've lost Awa.
Oui,
Can you hear me now? Okay, perhaps if you turn off your camera, it would be easier. Yeah, super. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So what we let's say make possible for our partners and our clients is access to services and products in a very easy way, right? And we also give access to a variety of products. We have more than 400 products that are listed on our platform. Various cereals, jam, why not cosmetics also. And for some products, we have exclusivity. So that's quite interesting. So same as you could find in supermarkets, right? We've also developed a certain number of, let's say, products that they can only find on our platform, which give them a taste of, let's say, a local savoir-faire. Now, in terms of achievements, so, well, we have, as I mentioned, 400 products on our platform that are processed by women, farmers from 7 regions in Senegal. We also allow our partners to have access to different types of customers. We also work on export. We've exported to the US. So this is a way for us to give access to the international market to our young farmers. And so we've made it possible to, let's say, have a positive impact on more than 2,500 women. And this has, let's say, has allowed them to change their packaging and given them access to much more, let's say, a much bigger market. So many more clients locally, but also internationally. So this is what I wanted to share with you today concerning Soreetul. So this is, as I said, an initiative that I launched with some of my colleagues from school, right? So we did this back at school. We started working on this initiative, and we would be very happy to replicate this this model, this platform, all over Africa to allow African farmers to interact in an easier way with their clients, but also to allow African farmers to interact with other African farmers. And we are already working on a platform which would allow us to sell products from other countries in Africa. So we really have a Pan-African view for our approach and for for our service. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, Awa. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us. Thank you for everything you do to support women, to support farming women, to support to support the rise of online shopping of local agricultural products. It's so great to see these very powerful initiatives. They're not enough. There will never be enough. And it's very interesting to see how you've done this. So once again, thank you very much for being with us. I see many questions. This is really what I love about these sessions. There's so much, let's say, interaction. If you look at the chat on the side and the Q&A box, I mean, there's so many questions. So there's a lot going on here. That's really great.
That and we hope is well, because we are in challenging times for health. You know, we all have people around us or ourselves who had COVID or will have or have other health problems related. Our speaker from Gashora Farm, Rwanda, Dieudonné, is sick. It happened just last night. So we really wish him well. We will certainly, he's a very interesting model as well, and we will get him in one of the following sessions. We thank him for all the work he did already for this session without being able to present it, and we really wish him well. So without a major delay, and we are on time, I will now give the floor to the part of discussants that will make a presentation, but they also have support like Awa, who support entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs, but themselves providing also services to other young entrepreneurs. And we know that is very much needed because the more and more the opportunities in the urban sector in Africa and elsewhere on a growing middle class will be on processed food, high quality, safe. You know that COLEACP works a lot on the safety part for many years, and very competitive, so high-end products. And therefore the need to link MSMEs, companies, service providers to farmers, entrepreneurs, cooperatives, etc. And it's a critical part of the work from PAFO and COLEACP. So Abdullateef OLAOSEBIKAN from Nafarm Foods in Nigeria. So he's from Nigeria with us today. He's also a very young person. The only not young today is me, I think, but he's a very young person, very committed, entrepreneurship passionate. He has founded various businesses in Nigeria. For example, company that recycles agricultural waste into pellets or flakes to use them as alternative fuel source, other ICTs companies. But in 2015, he co-founded Nafarm Foods, which helps again farmers to tackle the issue of post-harvest losses, and especially through the processing and preservation of perishable goods. So it is really an interesting part. He's very much present in different parts of Nigeria. He has again himself, and you will read all that in the biodata, received numerous awards for such initiatives, from the Bank of Africa Entrepreneurship Award, the Gender for Agribusiness Investment for Africa, because again, pushing the agenda of women entrepreneurs and helping them to get employment and be in agriculture, as well as awards on post-harvest technologies innovation, and the Africa Development Bank Africa Youth Agropreneur Award of the year in 2018. So thank you very much. We are very honored to have all of these young, acclaimed, and successful people with us today. So please, Abdullateef, if you hear us, and I hope the connection is well.
Good afternoon, Isolina.
Yes, and you, Axel, has to share the PowerPoint for you.
Okay, yes, please do.
Because I see that you are in a, I hope you are not driving at the same time. We don't want, okay, good. So Axel, please. So go ahead, Abdullateef, and welcome.
Okay, good day, everyone. first of all, let me put off my camera for better connection. Good day, everyone. And my name is Abdullateef OLAOSEBIKAN. I'm a co-founder and currently the business development manager for Nafarm Foods. So let me start by apologizing for the poorly designed slide that I'll be using for this presentation. This is actually our harvest season, and I've been at work and had, to rush this up. But nevertheless, I'll be available to provide more information if required. So we launched Nafarm Foods Initiative in 2015 because we saw the need to make money and create jobs from the tomato value chain in Nigeria. But eventually, we realized that the problem is way much bigger than we thought. Practically, we found ourselves as the only tomato processor in Nigeria, and solving this challenge of wastage and post-harvest loss became, our topmost priority. So the problem actually, the data we had as at the time of entry into the tomato business shows that Nigeria has a demand for tomatoes of about 2.4 million tons per annum. While our farmers produce about 1.5 million tons, they lose about 45%, post-harvest. And I've seen this situation myself because the farmers are required to spend money harvesting. But if there is no market for their produce, they simply won't harvest and will leave everything on the farm to waste. So usually we have a surplus harvest season, which usually comes up during dry season in northern part of Nigeria within period of 5 months. That is in December, January, February, down to April. And at the same time, tomato price usually is as low as $3, for a 50 kg basket of tomatoes. And there is no functional processing industry to utilize the opportunity. While after this period, consumers will pay about 13 times more to purchase tomatoes. So we began processing. Next slide, please. We began processing in isolation, and scaling up become capital intensive, which we, of course, don't have that. So we changed our model to enable us to work with other processors within close proximity. We found more than 20 processing facilities around that are actually not functional, and we choose to partner with some of them to revive their facilities and put them into use. We use the sachet economy approach to package in 70-gram sizes and also engage market women as our product distributors. And because tomato farmers are scattered across 6 tomato producing states in northern parts of the country, we with just 4 to 6 weeks of harvest time frame in any given clusters. So we decide to map the tomato farmers. Aggregating these tomatoes has been one of the basic challenge facing the processing industry. So we mapped about 91% of the tomato farmers in Nigeria and also profiled them on Google Map, which you can see on the slide. So we mapped them to enable us track the farmers' location and their harvest period. So of course, we didn't do this alone. It's a 2 years project. So next slide, please. So here's a summary of our achievements since inception. We've mapped about 91% of tomato farmers in Nigeria. I'm talking about registering over 35,000 farmers in our database, though we group them into 47 clusters. And we have their data handy, which we use in producing the tomato cluster map. While our cluster map can be accessible on tomato.com.ng. So it's tomato with an E, then .com.ng. So we've processed over 4,800 tons of tomatoes to date. Not so much actually, but we didn't also do this alone. We engaged 7 cooperatives, 7 women cooperatives across 6 states in Nigeria. Next slide, please. Okay, and so far we have created about 72 direct employment 23 currently at Nafarm Foods, while about 49 in our collaborators' businesses. So we've been working with 420 aggregators and our product distributors combined, and have been profiled with, we've profiled them, on our database as well, while over 28,000 women through their various cooperatives are also benefiting from this. So as producer and processor. So our partners, next slide, please. Our partners we partner with other stakeholders who have also brought us this far, as shown in this table. We have our TechnoServe Nigeria. They facilitated our collaboration with other processing facilities, and also the farmers mapping project, which we joined them on the 2 years journey. TechnoServe is actually an NGO working in agricultural value chain as well, and they took on a project. We call it a Yieldwise project. It was funded by Rockefeller Foundation to help reduce tomato wastage in Nigeria. And in 2016, so TechnoServe actually did a lot. They also facilitated our connection with all the women cooperative that have been processing tomatoes before we joined, the business. So in 2016, we also benefited from Pitch Agri-Hack program. It was a program organized by the ACP countries, which we do call, CTA projects, actually. So we learned about digitization and how to use tech to scale our agri-businesses. So I would say that was when the idea, of mapping farmers on, using tech so that we can, be able to access all the farmers across their region. So in the same 2016, we benefited from Tony Elumelu Foundation. They supported us with training, newspaper and online publication, as well as $5,000 seed capital. And the Ministry of, the Kaduna State Ministry of Agriculture in Nigeria, that's the state where I grew up, also supported us. They gave us a booth at the Kaduna State Trade Fair to exhibit and pilot our product. And not just that, the ministry facilitated our meeting with the sitting governor, who also gave Bank of Agriculture a letter to support us with soft loan. And in 2018, we also benefited from the Africa Development Bank's Youth Enable program. And we were sponsored to South Korea to as well study agribusiness. So the major lesson I learned in this partnership is that working with existing stakeholders in the value chain plays a very important role in our successes. And moving forward, next slide, please. So moving forward, we are still working and we are hoping to scale up as fast as possible. So we are vacating the processing sector into packaging. So we want to fully establish ourselves in packaging. So to enable us increase scope of impact. We are partnering with some of the giants we have in the processing sector, like the existing processing facility, even though they've not been fully functional, but our partnership will definitely yield more results. So we are partnering with a company like the Dangote Industries in Kano State, and we also have another in Katsina State, the Al-Dusar Tomato Processing Facility. So they will be processing our tomatoes. We are going to be, aggregating tomatoes from these farmers. We have the resources, the structures on ground. Then we direct these tomatoes to those facilities. They can actually do much more than what we've been doing at the moment. So they will process these tomatoes into concentrates, and they will send the concentrate, to our facility. And we are planning to, to set up a central packaging hub in Kaduna State, where we are going to receive all these concentrates, then package in our sachet and every other packaging material we choose to use. And at the same time, the facility will serve as a distribution hub where we will reach other regions across the country. And also we are planning to, supply into other markets. Like we are targeting about 8 other West African countries between now and 2024. So that's the bit of information I have. And if we need more information, I'll be happy to provide. So once again, my name is Abdullateef OLAOSEBIKAN, the current business development manager for Nafarm Foods. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Abdullateef, for joining us and for this very nice presentation. I see already that you have questions on the packaging and a few others we will discuss after. You are in a very difficult, actually, sector, because processing of tomatoes, local grown, local used, processed company is something that many have tried in the past, and it's very difficult to compete with the imported tomato pasta and the rest. You will tell us a bit more how you have managed, especially if you have benefited of any kind of policy support at your country level to tackle the imports. That's a sector very, very difficult. So I congratulate you, really. It's a very, very impressive part. I hope you are still with us for the question debate after. Yes, and thank you for the next milestones as well. Very, very impressive. So we have now the last presentation before we get a bit to the discussion part, and is Theophile Mudenge. We go now to Burkina Faso. Is the youth coordinator at TUScale. Is also very passionate, specialized in agriculture, on food security, agribusiness, youth and women empowerment, which is very, very important, working in many countries in Africa. And TUScale, for those who don't know, is a very interesting organization I had the pleasure to work with in my previous life. Is the largest incubator for inclusive agribusiness in Africa, and it aims at supporting youth inclusive business through especially public and private partnerships. It really operates in many African countries. It has different sources of finance that Theophile will explain to us. It enables thousands, tens of thousands of young men and women across, skills, entrepreneurship, business development, and really ensuring and facilitating employment opportunities, and always looking also at the decent work, decent employment, remunerative work, formal work, the same spirit as we have at COLEACP. So thank you very much for being with us. And yes, I give you the floor for the last presentation, please, in less than 10 minutes, that we can open then the debate, the last part of this morning session. Theophile?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Wow, that's a nice background.
So I'm Theophile Mudenge. As Isolina introduced me. I'm the Youth Inclusion Coordinator for TUScale, and I'm based in Burkina Faso. So as she said, I'm going to go through TUScale and try to highlight some of the work that we are doing with young people, but especially using our public-private partnership model, and trying to explain and highlight also what is the contribution of the private sector, especially in the agribusiness, to help the inclusion of young people for employment creation, but also for entrepreneurship. So briefly, I will highlight on some of the slides of my presentation, not all of them. And I hope that you have time also to go through other important information that is included in the presentation. So I will start with slide number 3. Next. Slide number 3, please. So what is TUScale about? TUScale is an incubator and an accelerator It's a program, and we are managing a portfolio of agribusiness or public-private partnerships. And we are looking for inclusive business, especially in agri-food sectors and industries. So our model is looking at positioning smallholder farmers, but also small and medium-sized enterprises to serve the base of the pyramid or low-income earners or consumers. So the idea is to position smallholder farmers as part of the supply chain for these SMEs or these companies we are working with, so that in that partnership, they can be able to avail nutritious food and that are affordable to these low-income earners. So this model is also helping us to position young people as good for those businesses. So there's an assumption that young people don't like agriculture, but we've noticed that young people don't like an agriculture that is not creating a value to what young people are considering as useful for them. So with this model, we've noticed that there is more young people who are joining the agriculture sector using some of the opportunities that are coming up from this partnership. So briefly, the program is looking at positioning 750 smallholder farmers, especially looking at 40% of those smallholder farmers as being young people. So it means in this supply chain, we are envisioning to support young farmers to be able to create groups or organizations or businesses that can be able also to supply these companies, and by so doing, create business relationships that can in return create income and create jobs for these young people. And that applies also to these small and medium enterprises. But also we help these young people to find employment, especially when they are selling or they are helping these companies to reach out to new markets. And when we talk about new markets, we are talking about the new products that these companies are coming up with. And we are using young people also to show to these companies that working with young people, it's not a liability, but it can be a value addition for them to reach out to new markets. Slide number 4. Next, please. So this model and how to scale works is that we are focusing on organizing or establishing these clusters around the business champion. And when we talk about the business champion, it is that company or that lead who comes up with an inclusive business idea. This can be an SME or a producer organization. So once this company or this organization comes up with this inclusive business idea, so then we as TUScale, we work with that company to make sure that this business idea is also benefiting other actors of that value chain. So we do that through the public-private partnership. One is by co-financing, and this co-financing is that TUScale don't provide grants or subsidies. So we contribute, we co-invest with these companies and these producer organizations. And I forgot to mention that this program is financed by the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that is at a level of 50 million euro. And the model is also mobilizing another 50 million from the different actors that the program is working with, especially these private sector companies, for them to co-invest with the program so that these inclusive business ideas becomes a reality. So within that process, we also position young people as good for this kind of business models or this kind of arrangements. So within these agribusiness clusters, so as I said, we are looking at having a supply chain, especially around the different value chains and local markets that the program is working with. And young people find employment opportunities and business opportunities also by co-investing as part of the smallholder farmers, or as part of paid employment, or as part of new business relationship that they come up with working with these companies. Next, please. Slide number 5. So the program have different partnership models, but one example of our partnership model is this one from one company in Ethiopia that is called Gatsagro. So the way the program works, so is that we have smallholder farmers, as I said. So this can be individual farmers who comes together to form a farmer group or a farmer organization, and they can be also specialized based on a value chain or a crop or a commodity. So it can be soybean, it can be maize, it can be dairy, it can be poultry, it can be cattle. So once we now have these producer organizations, so in terms of structuring, it can be part of a cooperative. It can be a primary cooperative, a secondary cooperative, but also the structuring can move on to be a cooperative union, bringing together a big number of farmers. So then at the company level, the company have a mandate to come up with products and services. And part of the products this company, for instance, is coming up with. So they have some products that are for food consumption or food stuff, but also they come up with animal feed, but they produce also salt. Or some of the other byproducts is that they can put different products at the market, including CSB, Supermam, Shiro, snacks, and also they have these other products that they put on the market. So they have different markets. They can have different markets. It can be institutional or from the government or for NGOs. So then they have retailers. Then they have micro franchise. So then they reach out to low income earners or BOP consumers. So our model for positioning young people as good for this kind of partnership is that at each level of the segments of this partnership, we position young people and we make sure that we are addressing some of the challenges that they are facing, including addressing some of the skills that they have that are preventing them from performing well in this kind of businesses. But also we make sure that they are also trained, but also that they are linked to this kind of businesses. So part of what we do is that we map out all employment or business opportunities around this partnership from different value chains. So once young people now are part of this continuum support of services, they are able to know what are the areas of investment and what do they have in it. And from there, we make sure that the champion, who is now the private sector company, understands that by working with these young people, number one, is making his business to perform well, but also he's also helping to create a new generation of business partners. But at the same time is that these young people are also co-investing with him. And that co-investment is also helping him to make sure that his business is well performing, but at the same time, reaching out to new markets. So this becomes a win-win situation between young people and these companies. Next, please. Slide number 8. Slide number 8. So these are some of the program ambitions So the program wants to have 180,000 jobs created. So we are looking at positioning or helping to raise 2,500 companies or SMEs that we can be able to support and to make sure that they are performing well in their area of capacities. But also we are looking at 20 million people with improved food security. We look at helping to increase the farmers' income and productivity by supporting them in different areas. But also we look at having also eco-efficient production. And with these ambitions, we always position young people as part of these ambitions so that they can find employment and businesses, but also having a future, having a vision for the future. So this approach have proven that it is good for incubating inclusive agribusiness. It creates networks and skills, but also we are looking at new technologies that are coming up to address some of the challenges these agribusiness companies are facing.
Yes, I think that was the last, Theophile. We are running
Yes.
late. Yes, that was the last. Yep.
So we can go to sectors of focus where we have the dairy animals.
You have
animal products.
In 1 minute, please, Theophile.
Okay, okay. Then we have staple crops. We have fresh produce. Then we have oil seeds. So those are the key areas of the program focus. And we are now in 80 African countries. So for those who are interested to reach out to the program, so you have in the presentation, so you have all the contacts, so you can reach out and explore what can be the partnerships or collaborations you can have with TUScale. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Theophile. You have some questions as well on the chat if you are in Kenya, and some that you can answer a bit bilaterally. Thank you very, very much for very interesting presentation, and certainly from COLEACP we will support your efforts and collaborate as well. So now to give a chance to the many questions, enthusiasm, and very, very active chat and questions. Emmerance, I think you have noted some that we could pose to our panelists.
Yes, Zorina, thank you very much. So the interaction was really interesting here in the chat. I've seen many were asking questions. So our panelists have tried to respond some of them, but I have also tried to make a kind of consolidation for some questions so that we can have an interaction. So there are some questions which I can categorize as generic that can be asked to more than one panelist, but there are other questions which are really specific that should be addressed to a certain presenter or panelist. So those questions I have highlighted are, the first one, many businesses face challenges to meet the food safety requirement for export market for both international but also in African countries. So the audience would like to ask our panelists how they overcome this challenge. So a second question was asking is how the innovations presented works with youth, rural and unemployed youth, and what they see as motivation that is given to these youth to work with them. So they can highlight what they see as motivation, what are things that are motivating youth, so that those things can be capitalized to motivate other youth. So another question was asked to the panelists is related to the African Continental Free Trade Area, AfCFTA initiative, whereby it asks how the panelists plan to conquer market within the framework of AfCFTA. We have seen many of our panelists has been presenting how they export in international market, but audience would like them to be specific on how they are visioning to be included into the AfCFTA framework. So they also want to know whether there is any kind of coordination with other framework or other platforms into this AfCFTA framework and how they plan to manage, of course, the standard, but within the African countries. So there are other questions asked. It relates to the context within the participants are living in. So here we have a case from DRC, whereby a participant has asked that they have a big problem of getting access to the market, even though they have a quantity of agricultural production. So they would like to know or to ask the advice on which strategy they can use to access more markets, mostly the major market and the export included. Also, we have a case from Ivory Coast, whereby they have asked that in Ivory Coast, it is difficult to sell processed agricultural products. So they would also like the panelists to advise on how they can boost market in the context of these products. So there are also, as I have said, some specific questions to some of panelists. So I have not taken all of them because I have seen most of them has already been replied, but there are some that I find important that we should be sharing. So there are questions asked to Momarr. I'm sorry for my pronunciation if it is not good. So they have asked about how they manage the different types of waste, both liquid and solid waste. Also, another question addressed to Momarr was asking about the export, specifically on which standard they use in their company for the export and whether they meet any kind of obstacles in exporting their products. This was specific to Momarr. So another question to them about mango production was that about the control techniques or management of fruit flies that attacks mangoes a lot. So they would also like him to advise on what is the techniques or mechanisms they are using to prevent the fruit flies. So there are also other questions, mostly specifically asked to Mr. Mwangi. So some of them are as follows. So they have seen that there is a risk mostly in contract within the supermarkets due to the strict quality requirements. So the audience would like him to advise or to tell them, so how he's handling these cases to make sure that the products that they are exporting to, they are taking to supermarkets meets the requirement. And in case they don't, they are rejected, how do they manage about that? Also, another specific question asked to him is related to how he's managing or he's working with outgrowers, especially about the conformity of quality standard. So you see this quality standard element is coming back often. So there are also another specific question that has been asked to our. It concerns on how they work with women entrepreneurs, and mostly that has increased their sales and incomes. How do they support youth graduates in agri-food industry to find markets? Another specific question was asked to Mr. Abdul from Nigeria. It was specific on how in Nigeria they manage the standard of tomato prices. So in very summarized way, those are the questions I was able to consolidate. So I hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Emmerance. It's a tough work because it's a very, very active public. I would like just to answer the latest one put now while you were speaking. What do we need? Why do we need to separate youth interventions with other value chain actors' interventions? Do they not can be considered like other market actors? Well, yes, there are other market actors, but the problem is why they are not supported as much as the other, market actors, and they have more. It is absolutely proven that youth entrepreneurs have more difficulties to access to markets, to access to networks, to access if we don't have a specific support. It's a bit like women. It's not that they are not market actors, but that they are excluded. So this is a bit more, highlighting that part. But I do understand your question, because I fully agree there are market actors already, as we have seen by these brilliant panelists. So what I suggest now is to have this 15 minutes, 20 minutes max, 15 minutes of answers by you, the panelists. We will take the same order as you presented before. I suggest you pick the ones that you feel you can answer in 1 minute, 2 minutes max, and each one selects the one he thinks is better placed, or the one directed to him. So Momarr, Momarr, please.
Yes. There's quite a few questions, so I'm going to try my best to remember them. One key one that I do remember was asking about. Could you repeat? There was a question. The last three questions asked directly to me. One was about waste. One was about.
Yes, Momarr, can you repeat them if you like?
Yes, because there was quite a few. There was quite a few.
To you? Okay.
Yes.
The first question addressed to you was that they would like to know how you manage your different types of waste, both liquid and solid waste. That was the first question. And then the second question is related to the standard. They would like to know which standard you use in your company, and what do you see as challenges or as obstacles within the export trade within your company? So the last question asked to you was about the mango production on control techniques or management of fruit flies that attacks mango a lot. So if you can advise what are the mechanisms or techniques you are using and what you find to be most effective. Thank you.
Yes, I'll address the three. We'll start with the fruit fly, because this is this is one of the most important questions for mango at this moment. As you can see, with our vegetables and peppers, we've started to grow in greenhouses so that we can guarantee pest-free zones. We've worked with the Fit for Market program with COLEACP over the last few years to increase the standard and the compliance for fruit fly management throughout all of our supply chain. So things as simple as pheromone traps on all the trees. You have to make sure you're constantly investing in your quality control and quality assurance, picking the mangoes at the right time, correct farm management, making sure that the area is clean, so the breeding, the possibilities for the breeding of fruit flies is reduced. So it's just constant work, hard work, and maintaining the standard, the global GAP standard. This ties into the second question, which is about standards. Yes, we're global GAP certified, we're organic certified. We're running HACCP within our factory for the dried mangoes. The challenges that we have is, I think Mwangi touched on this, it's very expensive to maintain these standards. Yearly audits, just the consultancy to develop them. But we also leverage a lot on the expertise and the support of organizations like COLEACP to help us develop these standards and maintain them. In Gambia, we worked very closely with the FSQA, which is the Food Safety Quality Assurance Body, as well. And I think these key partnerships are crucial for young entrepreneurs who might not have the long-standing expertise available to them at an affordable price, especially with our young businesses investing all this money into the standards. But the standards are crucial to enter the market. And you must have a culture of continuous improvement to meet and maintain these standards. So you have to build that culture within your company.
I think, Momarr, I think we lost you. So while you come back, perhaps Mwangi, can you continue, and can you take a few questions or
yes,
answer some, you think, please? Yeah.
Okay. I think I wrote down my questions. So the first question was on the issue of selling directly to the supermarkets and the risk it entails in terms of the standards involved with selling to the supermarkets. I think there was also an issue of how do you deal with the rejections. Look, with our current clientele as it is, even though they're not supermarkets, the standards have to be met. And if the quality standards are not there, or the quality required is not met, the rejections are there anyway. So I agree that supermarkets have higher standards, and they're less tolerant on deviation from the agreed on parameters. So before you can engage the supermarkets, and I think I was very careful on this, you have to make sure that within the organization you are ready for that kind of business. If you're not ready for that kind of business, don't engage, because it can lead to losses. So by the time you're engaging the supermarkets, you have to make sure from the farm, when you're looking at your GAP practices, from the pack house, your food safety and hygiene standards, you have to make sure from your logistics side that everything is in accordance with the expected international standards. So there's no shortcut. So when I was talking about engaging supermarkets, there's a lot of work that has to be done on the farm before you engage them. But at the end of the day, for growth purposes, those are the ultimate, or those are the ideal clients to have on board for your organization. And I mentioned the reasons why. You're talking of pricing, you're talking of contracts. There was a question on outgrowers, and how do you enforce quality standards with outgrowers, considering the sensitivity of the work we do. When it comes to herbs, we have a very sensitive clientele, because, for example, what we sell is not your everyday vegetables. It's not broccoli, it's not French beans. It's something that you don't have to have, but you choose to have. So our clientele then is very sensitive about standards. So when it comes to the outgrowers, we then have to be very careful on the outgrowers we deal with. We have to make sure that the investment they are willing to make on the standards is very clear from the onset, and we don't take any shortcuts. I think maybe just to talk on the food safety aspects, because there are two questions on food safety and standards. The perception has been that we need to meet certain standards for the export market, but I think that is changing. The food standards are not only for the export market. Locally, right now, there is legislation before Parliament in Kenya on standards on our local vegetables that has to be met. So food standards will move from being an export-oriented sort of drive, and they'll become more localized in every country as people become more aware, as the purchasing power increases, and so on and so forth. So the culture has to be there in the organization, in understanding that we have to do things the right way.
Thank you very much indeed. Awa, we go to Awa. Momarr had a power cut. We come back to you. Awa, you had a free. Vous avez eu quelques. Awa, vous comprenez, tu comprends bien l'anglais.
Well, I know you understand English, so I guess that you have understood the question. So do you operate for exporters outside of Senegal? And what are the opportunities with regards to the Africa Free Trade Agreement? Are you there with us? Yeah. Do you support young graduates in the food industry, agri-food industry, to access the market? And have you done some kind of monitoring over the course of years for women farmers who sell more thanks to the platform? All right. Okay. Yeah. Well, yes, we do work with groups of women and also with young graduates. A few years back, the women were more involved in the processing, but we've seen in recent years that young graduates have decided to go for entrepreneurship straight away. We have three types of products that are produced by young farmers who are under 30 and who are engineers, right? And they came back to Senegal after their studies. They work with great products. And if you have the right packaging, the right presentation, you're good to go. And so we will then do the referencing on our platform. So there's no favoring, let's say, women who work in processing, right? It can be women or men if their products are the right products, and if they are, let's say, demanded out there, and if they have or need the right referencing, in that case, we will reference them on the platform. Now, concerning the question regarding the Pan-African platform, well, this is our objective, to have this Pan-African platform of processed products. And well, we can, using the existing platform, working on concrete actions, right? And this will allow us to enable transport. I've already experienced transport from Senegal to Burkina, and it's very difficult, and products never arrive, let's say, in good shape. Taxes are quite expensive border, and so it's not competitive. So yeah, SDFF will allow us to, let's say, enable these exchanges between African countries and to be more competitive. This will allow us to strengthen the African trade and internal trade, right? And so with products, let's say, from outside Africa and products that are in Africa, we should favor products that come from Africa. Yeah. Oh, it appears we've lost our. All right, well, in that case, let's move on. Okay, our is back on. So there was a question now. Wait, I'm sorry, there's a connection issue. Yeah, just please, in a few words. Okay, yes. The last question was from Mrs. Koulibaly from Ivory Coast, and I think I already met her. She asked if we, let's say, why it was difficult to access the market if you only choose African products. I think it's consumers that have difficulties in accessing the markets. I think that the issue is no longer at the level of processing, even if packaging is not perhaps the same as, let's say, in Western countries. I think we it comes down to this. I mean, it's more or less, being colonized by our plates. We should not allow this to eat products that come from outside Africa. I mean, if we can use our products, well, why not do so? And I think the authorities need to play a role in this, because we need resources, right, to strengthen our activity, and the authorities need to encourage Senegalese people and Africans to consume African products, and they also need to make it easier to access the means and resources necessary to farmers to make available their products on these platforms where then consumers can buy them from. Oh, and by the way, PAFO worked on a very interesting survey study in which that shows that entrepreneurs are not really aware about what is done locally and regionally in terms of these platforms. Okay, thank you very much. Now, Abdullateef, are you still with us? Are you still in your car? You were in your car earlier on, huh?
Especially perhaps there were some questions on the packaging, which is not easy for tomato, processed tomato, as well on the laws of business. I think that perhaps you had better opportunities in Nigeria because the government has supported a bit the local companies. I don't know if you are still there. The connection is a challenge.
Isolina.
Yes,
Yes,
in 1 minute.
Okay, so packaging has been very challenging, actually. So to really go into the business, you have to be fully prepared. Like you have to get enough funding, because if you are going into large commercialization, then you get a cheaper packaging. So if you are doing less, then it becomes very expensive, and your product as well becomes very expensive. So the support the government has been able to provide is in terms of the policy, and I think that's all. Packaging, we are still battling with it. So on policy, like I said earlier, the governments were able to ban some importation of certain food items, just to promote local production. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. And that's on the policy environment as well, that has to be conducive, to support the local entrepreneurs in local regional markets as well as in export markets. So I think more or less, unless you had some very, very pressing things to finish, Momarr, because you got a cut in your connection. I don't know if you are still there.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, you had the sentence to finish. So in 1 minute.
Yes. No, somebody did ask about the waste product, and I'm glad you asked. This is something that's very important to us. So we've researched different solutions for the waste in the mango facility. What we're doing for now, we're powering our dryers using a biogas burner. This allows us to burn the mango seeds. We're also pressing mango. We've been piloting pressing mango oil from the kernel of the mango, and we've had some mixed results, but we continue to improve on that process. The idea is to use all of our waste product as some sort of byproduct, some commercial byproduct. But again, this takes time. And we're happy to say that we've at least managed to reduce a lot of our waste. Thank you very much. Sorry, I had a power cut, and that's just another problem of doing business here in Africa. So
absolutely. Thank you very much, Momarr. And we forget sometimes in which conditions you are successful despite, a very, very bad conditions, and connectivity is one. I don't know, Emmerance, you alert me if you want to add something from your side. If not, we get, unfortunately, I think, Theophile, you had done almost all the questions were bilateral to scale. We will share all the presentations, of course. All the questions are recorded. We will in the chat, we will answer to them or connect you to the people you want to be connected. So we will follow up for each of the questions you had, because we cannot share data without permission. So Emmerance, if you do not have anything to add, or the president, we have everything as an end, and this, as we always say, it's just the start of the conversation. We will spend days, we would do that because it's so interesting, so fascinating. But it's just a little taste of successful entrepreneurs in Africa, and that's why we really want to share inspiring stories that hopefully will inspire some of you in the audience. And we thank you very much for the hundreds really of participants very active. So we reach now the last part with our president at COLEACP, Mr. Stephen MINTAH. He has been connected even half an hour before we started.
Mrs. Zarina, I'm sorry to disturb you, but I think the president would like to say something maybe before we hand over to the closure.
Yes, please. I didn't hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying, Mr.
Yes,
President,
yes.
the president of PAFO maybe would like to say something before we close.
Of course, sorry, I missed that. I couldn't hear. Allez-y, président. J'ai pas vu le signe du
I'm sorry, I didn't see you wanted to take the floor. You have the floor, Chairman. Thank you very much, Isolina. Thank you very much to all participants. This meeting is such an important event, and I am very, very happy and proud about our African youth. Isolina, I really want to congratulate you for your work. And I strongly encourage the African youth to help us continue the great achievements that we have been able to provide so far to Africa altogether. And we can create work, employment for our youth. Yeah, that's more or less what I wanted to say, to thank you again, to congratulate you, to thank the technical team for all their efforts in order to ensure the success of this event, and namely the PAFO technical team, who have made great efforts to make this meeting possible. So yeah, and I just wanted to mention this. I didn't want to comment any further. Thank you very, very much. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You can take the floor whenever you wish to do so. This is a PAFO session, and I want to thank you also for the work by your teams. Don't thank us, the entrepreneurs, and not us, have to face these great challenges and come up with the successes they come up with. And so, yeah, we are very, very happy to have you here. We're very happy to work with you. We want to thank the teams of both sides, who are really great teams. So, right, unfortunately, all good things come to an end. So if no one else has anything to add, we will give the floor for our conclusion to Stephen MINTAH.
As I said, he was connected for a long time, following very, very, very closely each of your interventions. He's, in addition to be our chair since years, since 2013, is the general manager of Sea-Fried Pineapple Exporters of Ghana. But he worked for many, many years in Ghana, for more than 20 years, in the Ghanaian Agriculture and Development Bank, where really he supported, all the insights out of the agriculture sector. He knows, of course, the challenges, but also the opportunities of youth, which is also a core, interest of COLEACP work, and every service we have supports youth. So you bring together in Ghana producers, value chain actors, businesses, logistical support, and of course a clear impact on smaller holder as well, small holders. So it's not only from the work of COLEACP that you come in. So I would ask you, I would thank you on behalf of PAFO and COLEACP, but if you have some insights like President PALEBELE to share on what you have heard this morning from also your experience and your commitment towards young entrepreneurs in the agri-food sector.
Thank you very much, Isolina. I've enjoyed the day and the presentations by the youth this morning up to this afternoon have been so great. And I want to firstly thank COLEACP and PAFO management for these innovation series, particularly this particular one on youth agri-entrepreneurs. The experience we have gained today, I believe, should provide directions to countries and institutions in addressing the troubling unemployment challenges facing us today. As I said earlier, I've listened with great interest to the interventions of these young entrepreneurs, and I've admired the milestones they have chalked up to this date. Indeed, they show us that agriculture can be profitable and an attractive employment sector for the youth. The investments in social capital development at individual and organization levels in skills, education, training are key to equip our MSMEs. Of special relevance are a better knowledge of markets, high-end quality products, and the need of distinctive branding, packaging, labeling, as well as exploring the e-commerce opportunities as presented today by our young entrepreneurs, and including relevant standards to be met. As shown by these presentations, if young entrepreneurs are equipped with knowledge of markets, prices, technologies, and other skills, and finance, they will be able to meet the demand for food from growing urban populations and also develop high-profit businesses related to marketing, processing, packaging, and other food services. I also see employment in the food, manufacturing, and horticulture sectors, which often generate high-quality jobs for youth and women. As COLEACP, we have supported some of these efforts in supporting young entrepreneurs in these areas. It means we have to continue to build their capacity, their human capital, capitalizing on and disseminating COLEACP's knowledge, know-how, and specialized expertise acquired over the years in all areas of the fruit and vegetable sector, with a view to contribute to a profound transformation of agriculture that meets the needs of food security, ecosystem conservation, and economic growth. As a very concrete example of how COLEACP's vision is translated directly to benefit the youth, let me briefly explain a recent initiative COLEACP has led through its Fit for Market programs and STDF intervention in Togo. Thanks to the support and strong involvement of Togolese horticultural companies, COLEACP built an incubator for horticultural technical managers to help fill the gap in qualified technical staff on the Togolese job market, essentially quality managers, packaging, and production managers. 22 young graduates have been trained to become quickly operational for horticultural companies through combining technical training and practical work experience in companies. And as a follow-up to the incubator project activities, a WhatsApp speed dating group was created to facilitate young job seekers and employers. This is just one example, and COLEACP is committed to upscale these types of initiatives through ACP countries with the support of our main donors, the EU, and the organization of the ACP states and fellow organization partners like the PAFO. We appreciate the contribution of youth on the continent, and COLEACP and PAFO, we will continue to give you every support that we need. We look forward to subsequent innovation series which will come up after this. And before I give you my final conclusion, I have a question or observation for COLEACP and PAFO. Is it possible to synthesize some of these ideas that have come up today especially with the youth, because of the problem of youth unemployment on the continent and other developing countries, so that this can be made available to institutions and countries for our guidance. This is what I leave with COLEACP and PAFO. I've enjoyed the session, and I thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, President. And we were very honored to have the President of PAFO and the President of COLEACP, who are very, very knowledgeable and committed. And as the President of COLEACP has said as well, we couldn't do all this without support from the European Commission and from the ACP. And each time we say ACP, I've just put in the chat the website, Africa, Caribbean and Pacific States, which I encourage you to look at. We work very closely and with their support on entrepreneurship in general and on youth entrepreneurship as well. I don't know if they are with us today in the audience, but in really linking producers to markets, every market at every level in a very efficient way. So we are one of the, as you said, President, one of the added value is also to share good practices across regions and continents, because entrepreneurs face, even when they are in different value chains, the same type of constraints. Some have gone a long way forward and they share the stories. That's why we thank very much all the entrepreneurs that came here. And indeed, we share the stories and we will do more of that. We will organize soon business to business for some of the interested entrepreneurs meetings, attendance to agribusiness fora, that, you know, it goes a bit further in the link to markets as well as link to finance. So yes, we will do more of that. President and President of PAFO has already highlighted how it's important to showcase African capacity. So I only have to say thank you very much to all. See you soon for another session, and we will continue, of course, to involve young entrepreneurs. It's not only today, it's always. So bye-bye.